American people should be assured that we are doing everything in our power to keep you and your family safe and secure during this busy holiday season.
President Obama today announcing efforts to step up security at the nation's airports and on its planes. But when 23-year-old Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib allegedly tried to detonate explosives on board that Northwest flight on Christmas Day, he was targeting an aviation system that currently doesn't have a chief of security. That's because President Obama's nominee to run the Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, that nominee has been held up by the minority party in Congress, specifically, at least in part, by South Carolina Republican Senator Sen Dement. Sen Dement's big complaint about the nominee, a man named Errol Southers, who runs the police force at the LA International Airport. His big complaint is that Mr. Southers might let TSA baggage screeners unionize and bargain collectively for better working conditions. After this latest threat to bring down an airliner, you might think that the whole opposition to labor unions issue would be an embarrassing reason to leave the TSA without a leader. If you thought that would be embarrassing, you'd think differently from Senator Sen Dement. Sunday on Fox News, Mr. Dement was asked to join the conversation about President Obama's handling of terrorism, whereupon Senator Dement volunteered his own thoughts on labor unions for baggage screeners.
Chris, I am concerned because it's related to another issue that we're dealing with now in the Senate. The administration is intent on unionizing and submitting our airport security to union bosses' collective bargaining. And this is at a time, as Senator Lieberman says, that we've got to use our imagination. We have to be constantly flexible. We have to outthink the terrorists.
Outthinking them apparently means making sure they have lousy benefits. The baggage handlers, that is, because obviously they're the issue here. Not to be outdone, here was Congressman Peter King of New York, who I must say was very nice to me when I ended up on the same plane as him at one time. But here's how Peter King reacted to the Christmas bomb plot news on Fox News this Saturday.
There are situations like this where we are afraid of being accused of profiling. The fact is, while the overwhelming majority of Muslims are outstanding people, on the other hand, 100% of the Islamic terrorists are Muslims, and that is our main enemy today.
100%. You do the math. If you're starting to feel like maybe this is more about politicking than it is about counterterrorism, consider this meme being taken to its logical conclusion by conservative talk show host Mike Gallagher, speaking, you guessed it, on Fox News.
There should be a separate line to scrutinize anybody with the name Abdul or Ahmed or Mohammed.
And if somebody's middle name is Hussein, what do we do then? The fear card turned up in the Michigan governor's race, too, when Congressman Pete Hoekstra, who's a Republican candidate for governor in the great state of Michigan, took the occasion of the Christmas Day bomb plot to send out a fundraising letter. A fundraising letter specifically asking people to send him money because of the Christmas Day bomb plot. He said, quote, I understand the real and continuing threat radical jihadists pose to our great state of Michigan and our great nation. I have pledged that I will do everything possible to prevent these terrorists from coming to Michigan. Please send me money. I wonder if Pete Hoekstra could have raised even more money if the bomb had actually gone off. Joining us now is a person I can assure you would do everything in her power to defend Michigan, Professor Melissa Harris Lacewell. Thank you for interrupting your holiday in New Orleans and joining us.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Pete Hoekstra sent out a fundraising plea saying there was this bomb plot. Please send me money. Only I can protect you. Like a few other things in today's news, I thought it was a joke at first. Is there no line of political decency on these things that people are worried about crossing?
Well, I mean, the notion that the GOP would have worries about politicizing terrorism is clearly sort of a 7 or 8 year old worry that, we're clear that what the GOP sees as its clear sort of ability to attack the Obama administration is on this question of national security and terrorism. They can't, as you were just speaking about earlier, go after him on the economy. They handed him a tanking economy. They did so apparently because it wasn't common practice to pay for legislation in the previous administration. And so, it's sad, but there is is a way in which this terrorist plot, which did not actually take any American lives, they saw, I think, at least some members of the GOP clearly saw as a kind of holiday gift, an opportunity to once again put terrorism on the agenda, someplace where they think they are strong.
I agree with you in the sense that I believe that Republicans would love to make national security and terrorism a political issue. They feel like that would help them in 2010. And at the same time, I'm completely mystified by Sen Dement. Sen Dement might be president, might be the presidential nominee of the Republican Party. He's this rising star in national Republican politics. What he does, other Republican senators do soon thereafter. And here he is proudly proclaiming that the real issue in the TSA is labor unions. And he's blocking the nominee to be the head of airline security. It seems like there's got to be a political cost on the other side of that. At least I would expect there to be.
Well, maybe our first question is like, what is going on in South Carolina? This is now our second South Carolina legislator making real news this year. But I think the other thing is a kind of position towards working people, right? What does it mean that you think we are safer if the people who work for us in airports are less well paid, have fewer benefits, have less security? It's a bit like saying, let's be sure that we put our children with child care providers who aren't unionized and don't, actually we do that, right? We put our children with child care providers who in fact don't get good benefits. And I mean, it's a backward sort of way of thinking that the people who are serving the thing most precious to us, our children, our lives, in airports, that they would be paid insufficiently, that they would have less job security. In fact, exactly what we want is the opposite. Now, there are arguments on both sides about unions, but clearly the idea that we are safer if our baggage, handlers are paid less is ridiculous.
And the idea that that's your winning political argument, a chance for an anti-union argument is that there was an attempted bomb plot. It's just it's twisted. Melissa Harris-Lacewell, Associate Professor of Politics and African American Studies at Princeton University. Thank you for talking with us and allowing us to see your analogy wrap back on itself live on television.